Longboat Key looks peaceful and beautiful. The water is a gorgeous blue-green color. The beaches feel very private, and there's an array of homes from smaller condos in the 300,000 range to multi-million-dollar estates up to about 30 million. But here's what most buyers don't see when searching online. Longboat Key has a few very important details that can completely change what you buy, where you buy, and how much you actually spend after closing. And if you don't know these things before the purchase, they can become a very expensive surprise. If we haven't met yet, I'm Gina Ursini, broker and owner of Brista Realty here on Longboat Key. My husband Mark owns Brista Homes, and together our offices are located in the Brista Commons Plaza right on Gulf of Mexico Drive. Between real estate, building, remodeling, and living this lifestyle ourselves for over 30 years, we've experienced the side of Longboat Key that most buyers never truly see online. So today, I want to walk you through what Longboat Key hides from buyers. Number one, beach access. If you have not witnessed in person our incredible blue-green waters, then you are in for a pleasant surprise. The sparkling waters of the Gulf of Mexico combined with our white sand lures visitors worldwide. I am still in awesome days when I drive over the bridges on and off the island and I see that color of the water. Now, one of the significant advantages of making a move to Longboat Key is the beach and its uncrowded conditions, making our 10-mile public beach feel very private. Plus, many of the neighborhoods have community deeded beach access, including those on the bayside. But one thing you do not see when searching online is that the beach access points have limited parking. Some access points provide no parking at all. And the beaches, they do not have restrooms. Now, this may not matter if you live directly on the water, but if your property is bayside, it's something you really want to understand before you buy, because even though the Gulf may be just across the street, your day-to-day beach access may depend on where your neighborhood beach access is located, whether you walk or you bike there, and how convenient it really is once you're living here. Number two, pet restrictions. Overall, Longboat Key is considered pet friendly, but here's what many buyers do not realize when they start searching online. If you're considering condo living, every building has its own pet policies and they can vary dramatically. What you don't see online is that many beachfront condominiums do not allow pets at all. Others may restrict the number of pets. They have weight limits or breed limitations. For many pet owners, especially those with larger dogs, single-family home communities often provide a much easier day-to-day experience. And another important thing buyers should know, pets are not allowed on the beaches in Longboat Key. Fortunately, nearby Bird Key Park, right by the John Ringling Bridge, is a favorite spot for local dog owners because dogs can enjoy water there. But if daily beach walks with your dog are part of your vision for coastal living, that's something you're going to want to understand before choosing the right property or community. Number three, the FEMA renovation rule. This is one of the biggest hidden issues for buyers considering older single-family homes on Longboat Key. Many of the homes here were originally built in the 1960s and the 1970s, often on an incredible waterfront lot. And buyers walk in thinking, oh, I'll just renovate it. But what many don't realize is that the FEMA 50% rule can completely change those plans. If the cost of renovations exceeds 50% of the assessed value of the structure, the home may need to be brought up to current flood elevation standards. And once that happens, the scope and the cost of the project can change dramatically. In many cases, it may actually make more financial sense to tear the home down and build new rather than renovate. And that's why before falling in love with that lot, you really need to understand the elevation, the flood requirements, the structure, the renovation limitations, and the true cost of the project before moving forward. Number four, summer heat. When we moved to Longboat Key over 30 years ago, it was in the middle of August. Now, keep in mind, my previous visits to Florida had always been during the winter months. So when I stepped out of that car, I remember thinking, holy moly, the heat and that humidity, it just completely caught me off guard. But here's the reality, and this is what many people don't realize before moving here. The months that make people fall in love with Florida last much longer than those uncomfortable ones. During the winter, Longboat Key feels absolutely incredible. Temperatures are usually in the low to mid 70s, humidity is lower, there's very little rain, and most people are trading snow boots and jackets for shorts and flip-flops, boating, golfing, and beach walks. And that's the version of Florida most buyers picture. Now, when summer arrives, especially June through September, September, temperatures do climb into the 90s and the humidity becomes pretty intense. But even that comes with a rhythm locals get used to. In the summer, you'll often get these quick afternoon thunderstorms that roll in fast, they cool things down for a bit, and then suddenly the sun is back out like nothing happened. Number 5, seasonal crowds. Back in the 1960s, Longboat Key had only around 1,000 residents. Now, this was when much of the island's original development was taking place. Today, the permanent population is closer to 8,000 residents. But during season, that number can climb to around 20,000. And that seasonal shift is something buyers really need to understand before moving here, because that is the part you're not going to typically hear online. During the winter months, especially January through April, traffic on and off the island can take significantly longer than people expect. A drive that normally takes around 15 minutes, that can suddenly take around 40 minutes or even more during peak hours. Now, a lot of this does come from the fact that Longboat Key is primarily a one-lane road in each direction. Add in beach traffic, people leaving restaurants and resorts during season, and the traffic lights at the north end near the intersection of Gulf of Mexico Drive and Cortez Road, and the traffic backups can happen very quickly. Now, for some buyers, that can come as a little surprise at first, along with a little bit of frustration. But once you live here, residents quickly learn the rhythm of the island. During season, you learn the best times to leave, the best times to return, when Gulf of Mexico Drive tends to back up, and even which side of the island tends to flow better depending on the time of day and the time of year. Now, the good news is that the town has been working on improvements to help traffic flow more efficiently. On the south end of the island, additional turn lanes were added near Country Club Shores to help ease congestion. And on the north end, there have been ongoing discussions about adding a roundabout to improve traffic movement coming on and off the island. Number 6, red tide reality. Now, here's another thing Longboat Key doesn't exactly advertise in the brochures. And if you're thinking about moving anywhere along Florida's Gulf Coast, this is something you should understand before buying beachfront property. Red tide is a naturally occurring algae bloom that can sometimes affect coastal waters. Now, when it's present, the water may turn this greenish, brownish, or even reddish in color, which is where the term red tide comes from. But here's the important part. Not every year is the same. Some years, Longboat Key experiences very little impact from red tide, and the residents barely notice it at all. Other years, it can become more severe and it can last longer depending on the weather patterns, the wind direction, the ocean currents, and the water conditions. And this is where buyers are often caught off guard. During stronger blooms, marine life can be affected due to the lower oxygen levels in the water. You may, on occasion, see dead fish wash ashore. And sometimes marine life moves into the canals searching for higher oxygen levels. The town does allocate funds annually for beach cleanup, but the experience itself can still impact day-to-day coastal living while it's occurring. And here's the part that is especially important for certain buyers. If you have severe respiratory sensitivities like asthma or other breathing-related conditions, then red tide is something you want to seriously consider, not just on Longboat Key, but throughout many beach communities along Florida's coast. Even people without respiratory conditions can sometimes experience burning eyes, coughing, or throat irritation during the stronger blooms. Now, fortunately, conditions can change very quickly here. Some blooms last only a few days, while others may linger for weeks, depending on the wind and the water movement. And interestingly, one beach can sometimes be affected while another nearby beach just feels completely different the same day, depending on the wind direction. So while red tide is absolutely something buyers should understand, it's also important to know that every occurrence is different, and many years are far less impactful than others. Number 7, sea turtle rules. Now, this next one tends to surprise buyers the first time they experience it, especially if they purchase directly on the beach. Longboat Key takes sea turtle protection very seriously, and while most residents see this as one of the beautiful parts of living here, beachfront living during turtle season does come with rules that buyers should understand before they purchase. From roughly March through October, the town enforces strict turtle lighting ordinances designed to protect nesting sea turtles and hatchlings from becoming disoriented by artificial light. And this is where some new residences are caught off guard. During turtle season, you may notice certain streetlights are dimmed or turned off near the beach. Now, many beachfront hotels, restaurants, and businesses reduce exterior lighting at night. In condominium associations, they often have very strict rules regarding balcony lighting, interior lighting visibility, and window coverings after dark. In some beachfront condos, residents may be required to keep blinds or drapes closed at night if lights are visible from the beach. Certain outdoor lighting fixtures may also need to be turned turtle compliant with amber colored lighting. So if you love the idea of a brightly lit beachfront balcony at night overlooking the Gulf, this is something you want to understand beforehand. Now, personally, many residents feel the trade-off is worth it because watch sea turtle nesting season is actually pretty incredible. And if you walk the beaches during nesting months, you're often going to see protected nesting areas roped off throughout the sand. These marked areas help protect sea turtle nests until the hatchlings emerge and they make their way to the Gulf. It's all part of living alongside nature here on Longboat Key. And honestly, it's one of those things that gives the island so much character. Number 8, school commutes. Now, here is something many families don't realize until after they seriously start looking at homes on Longboat Key. Longboat Key does not have its own schools. And for some buyers with school-aged children, that can become an unexpected lifestyle adjustment. Now, the good news is that there are excellent private, public, charter, and college prep schools located throughout surrounding Sarasota and Bradenton. Some private schools even provide bus pickup locations directly on Longboat Key. But here's where the decision becomes more important than buyers initially expect. Your daily routine may look very different depending on which end of the island you choose to live on. Families living on the southern end of Longboat Key often look towards schools such as Electa Lee Magnet Middle School, Cardinal Mooney High School, Center Montessori, and IMG Academy. Families on the northern end may lean towards schools such as Bradenton Christian, St. Stephen's Episcopal, St. Joseph's Catholic School, and IMG Academy. And this is where understanding the island layout really matters, because if you're doing school drop-offs, you're doing sports practices, or you're doing those extracurricular activities every day during season traffic, commute times can add up much faster than people anticipate. Now, personally, I went through the school commute myself when my 2 daughters were little. We actually coordinated carpools with other Longboat Key families whose children attended the same private school, and that made things so much easier. But I will say back then, seasonal traffic was nowhere near what it is today. So for families moving to Longboat Key full-time, choosing the right area of the island is not just about the home itself. It's also about how your everyday lifestyle and your schedule will function once you're actually here. Number 9. The tourism tax. Now, rental restrictions is another area where buyers can get themselves into trouble very quickly. And honestly, this is one of the biggest misconceptions I see with out-of-state buyers. Many people assume they can just purchase a property and immediately use it as a short-term rental like they would in other beach communities such as Anna Maria Island. But Longboat Key has very specific rental rules, and zoning officers enforce these rules. Unless a property is grandfathered in, the town restricts rentals to a minimum of 30 days. And if the property is located within a condominium or an HOA community, that association may have even stricter rules. Some communities require a 3-month minimum rental period. Others limit the number of leases allowed each year. And some communities do not allow rentals until after a designated ownership period. So this is where buyers really need to slow down before purchasing an investment property, because what you think you can rent and what you are actually allowed to rent can be 2 very different things. And here's another very important detail many buyers do not realize. If you plan to lease your property for less than 6 months, there are multiple departments you need to register with, then pay monthly resort taxes, which total around 11%. These departments include the town of Longboat Key, your local municipality, which is Sarasota or Manatee County, and the state Florida Department of Revenue. So there are several layers of compliance involved beyond simply listing the property online. Now, don't let that scare you though, because many owners successfully rent their properties here. But it's definitely something you want to understand before you buy and not after. And of course, if you have any questions about rental restrictions, registration requirements, or which communities may work best for your investment goals, feel free to reach out to me directly, because this is an area where local guidance really matters. Number 10, island surveillance. Now, here's something many visitors don't even realize is happening when they drive onto Longboat Key. Longboat Key is considered one of the safest communities in Florida, and the town takes security very seriously. As vehicles enter and exit the island from either end, license plate recognition cameras monitor traffic flow coming onto the key. These systems help law enforcement identify suspicious activity. They monitor traffic patterns and they improve public safety throughout the island. And honestly, most residents appreciate the added layer of security because the Longboat Key has a very private, residential feel compared to many other Florida beach communities. Now, some buyers initially may find that surprising, but here's a real example of how effective that system can be. When we opened our new Bristol Commons Plaza, we had packages delivered after business hours that were stolen. So through our building's security cameras, we were able to identify the truck involved. From there, the police accessed the town's camera system, identified the license plate, and they were able to locate the suspects in a very short period of time. So while most buyers focus on the beaches, the boating, and the luxury lifestyle, one thing many residents quietly value about Longboat Key is the strong sense of safety throughout the island. Longboat Key truly is an incredible place to live, but the key to loving it long-term is understanding the lifestyle before you buy. I have buyers reach out all the time, so if you're thinking about making a move to Longboat Key, feel free to call or text me at any time. I am happy to guide you through it.